Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Eman Dalio. And today we're going to be talking about a very, very important topic about building your credit. And that is the very act of building credit itself, especially if you're just starting out or if you're trying to rebuild it for one reason or another. Now, this video does not just apply to you if you're just turning 18 or if you're making six figures. This video applies to anyone from all age groups, all tax brackets. Credit can be quite confusing, but it does not have to be that way. Whether you're under 18, you're just fresh out of high school, or maybe you're a little bit older and you weren't taking your credit seriously for the last couple of years and now you're trying to repair it. These are simple, proven strategies that can set you on the right path. Before we even jump into the methods, we need to have a solid understanding of exactly how your credit score is calculated, because this is going to be the foundation of everything that you do after this. The five main factors that are used to calculate your credit score start off with the first and most important one, which is your payment history. This makes up 35% of your score. And even though it's the most important factor, it's actually a pretty straightforward one. Simply put, if you're not paying your bills and you're not paying them on time, your score is going to suffer. And I mean, it makes sense. What credit is simply just borrowing money from a bigger institution that has it available. So they're expecting you to pay it back in order for their business to run. Secondly is credit utilization. This also makes up a whopping 30% of your score. Credit utilization is the percentage of your credit limit that you're using. So for example, if your limit is $500 and you have a balance of $100, your utilization rate is 1/5 or 20%. Next up is your length of credit history. This one makes up 15% of your score. The longer your credit history, the better. And the reason why this works is because in a lot of things, the longer time you spend working on something, the more you master it just from experience with that thing. It's the same way when the credit bureaus and the credit card issuers are analyzing your credit score. If you have much more years of experience with it, that's a green flag to them. The fourth factor that they look at is credit mix. This accounts for just 10% of your score. This looks at the different types of credit accounts you might have on your profile. What these guys want to see is a person who has a lot of experience responsibly managing different types of credit accounts, such as your revolving lines of credits, which are most commonly your credit cards, a mortgage loan, an auto loan, a personal loan. When they see that you can not only handle multiple lines of credit, but also different types of credit, that is a green flag to them. The final metric is new credit. Again, this is just 10%. This refers to how many new accounts or hard inquiries you have. A hard inquiry is a type of credit check that happens when you apply for a new credit card, a loan, or a mortgage, and it only temporarily impacts your score. When you open too many accounts too quickly, that is a red flag. That will negatively affect your score. Now, before I dive right into the route that I used when I was younger, which was opening a secured credit card, let's take a second to talk about a fantastic strategy, especially if you're under 18, which is becoming an authorized user under someone's account. And most commonly, this is going to be a kid becoming an authorized user under their parents' accounts. An authorized user is someone who is added to an existing account and is allowed to use the credit, but they're not responsible for making the payments. The primary cardholder is, but the account's history still gets reported on the authorized user's credit report. For this reason, this method can be a game changer for young people or anyone that does not have a credit history. You just have to make sure that the primary cardholder has a good payment history, low utilization, and a solid account history. And like I said, my personal story is I didn't have the opportunity to do this because my parents and I just had no idea this was a thing. However, I am currently using this strategy to the benefit of my younger brother, who's an authorized user on my American Express Gold card. Okay, with authorized users out of the way, let's finally get into secured credit cards. Secured credit cards are probably the buzzword around people starting off with credit, even if you have no experience at all with credit or how it works. A secured credit card works by requiring you to put down a security deposit, which serves as collateral in the off chance that you don't pay back your balance, and also serving as your credit limit. So if you put down $200 as the deposit, your credit limit will also be the $200. Now, back in my day, the secured card that I chose was the Discover It secured card. And to this day, I still think it's one of the more solid secured cards you can start off with. As of 2025, this card allows you to get your security deposit back a little sooner, just after 6 consecutive on-time payments, which is faster than the previous terms where it would take about 8 months. There are other great options that I recommend, such as Capital One's secured credit card. This one shares a lot of similarities, and it also requires a lower minimum security deposit / credit limit. I think it's as low as $50. Then you also have the Citi Secured MasterCard, which also has a quick path to graduating to an unsecured card after several months of responsible spending. After about 6 to 8 months of opening the card and using the strategies that we're about to go through, I was able to sit at a credit score of about 770. Here are the very important strategies you need to use in order for this to work. The first key strategy is to always pay in full and pay on time. I can't stress this enough. You gotta always pay in full on or before the due date. But here's the thing, it's not just about paying on time. There's an important distinction between the statement closing date and the bill due date that can help you manage your utilization and improve your score. Let me break it down for you. There are 2 dates that should not be confused with each other. The first one is the statement closing date. The statement closing date is the date when your credit card cycle ends. It's when the credit card company calculates your balance for the month as a snapshot. This is also the date they send your statement showing how much you owe. The balance that shows up on your statement will be reported to the credit bureaus. So if you want to keep your utilization low, which helps your credit score, you want to pay down most of your balance before the statement closing date. Then there's the bill due date. This is the date by which you must make at least the minimum payment to avoid late fees. You want to make sure you pay the full balance by the due date to avoid interest charges, but you can wait until the due date to pay off the remainder of your balance. So let me walk you through an example to make it super clear. Let's say you have a statement closing date on the 15th of every month, and the bill due date is on the 30th. On the 15th, your statement will close, and the credit card company reports your balance to the credit bureaus. So if you have a balance of $500 on the 15th, that is going to get reported to the credit bureaus, and it will impact your credit score based on your utilization rate. If your credit limit is $1,000, your utilization rate is then going to be 50%, or half of your overall credit limit. However, the key is to pay off majority of your balance before the 15th, the closing date. So let's say you pay off $400 in this example. Your utilization is then going to drop to 10% because there's only $100 remaining out of your overall credit limit of $1,000. This is much better for your credit score because it keeps your utilization rate even lower. The reason why this works is because the credit bureaus don't see all the fluctuations that happen with your account through the month. They only see whatever the balance was when your credit card company, again, took that snapshot on the 15th. Once that has been sent out, between the 16th and the 30th, which is your due date, you can pay off the rest of your balance so that, again, you don't carry a balance and you don't incur interest. So in short, to optimize your credit score, pay down most of your balance before the statement closing date. After that is done, pay down the rest of your balance in full by the due date so that you don't incur late fees and interest. Sorry, I know that was a lot of information all at once, but that is really the main part of the strategy that will make this work. The next thing you want to do is to consistently monitor your credit. Now, there's a couple of reliable services out there you can use, such as Experian, that's what I use, or you can get your annual credit report from annualcreditreport.com. You want to avoid relying too heavily on Credit Karma, and that's only because the scoring model that they use is different from what the lenders use. As with all things in life, the reason why you want to track your progress is because it's going to allow you to course correct or refine your strategy and keep an eye out for any problems or discrepancies that may or may not arise. As your credit score increases and your credit history lengthens, you are going to have the leverage you need to start going out and applying for unsecured credit cards, as well as requesting credit limit increases. A credit limit increase can be a great way to reduce your utilization rate since it raises your available credit without you needing to spend more. After having about 12 months of credit history with my secured card, I was able to apply and get approved for the Chase Freedom Flex. That was my first unsecured card as well as my first Chase card. The recommendation that I've been hearing from the grapevine as of late is to space out your new applications by about 2 months. And from what I understand, the rationale behind that is because 2 months appears to be the sweet spot where it's not too short to seem credit needy, which is a red flag to the issuers, but it's also not too spaced out as to continuously chop down your average age of accounts with new applications. Now, my personal recommendation is to meet in the middle, and that is to space out your applications by maybe 3 or 4 months, especially if you're just starting out. And that brings us to credit inquiries. We touched on this earlier. Every time you apply for a new credit card or a loan, the issuer has to pull your credit report to actually see your profile. And this is known as a hard inquiry. Each hard inquiry stays on your report for 2 years, but the impact of it only lasts for 1 year. Too many inquiries, especially in a short period of time, is a red flag because you give off this idea to the issuers that you are desperate and you're credit hungry. They're going to be very suspicious of why all of a sudden you need so much lines of credits all in a short period of time. Once you get to about 6 to 12 months of responsible credit usage, your score should definitely be well on its way to at least the mid 700s. Please, please, please don't rush the process. The longer your credit history, the better your score will be. And remember, paying your bills on time, every time, is the most important thing to maintain. So that's how you build a credit score from nothing to 700 in 2025. Whether you're under 18, just starting out, or trying to rebuild, these steps are going to set you up for success. Start with a secured credit card or request to be an authorized user on someone's account that you trust. Keep your utilization low, pay your bills on time, and monitor your credit regularly. As your credit history grows, so will your credit score. I truly do hope that this video gave you at least some insight to the tools on how to build or rebuild your credit profile. If you found it helpful, maybe someone else you know will too. So please don't hesitate to share it with them. And while you're doing that, also, please don't forget to leave a like, comment your thoughts down below, and to most importantly, subscribe, because the last thing I want is for you to miss more videos like this, packed with information in the future. So good luck on your credit journey. Let's crush 2025, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Until next time.